Hello, good morning guys. How is it going? Okay guys, today I would like to talk about a topic that a lot of people have been asking, is that what is the exact method for summarize spoken text? Do you need a template? And how do you get the optimal point for this question? So today I'm here answering you that question. Now first of all, before doing anything, okay, before answer all of your questions, let's just take a look at how they score you first of all. So you need to understand the marking. Now, so what I'll do, okay, so I could click submit so I can bring up all of these criteria in summarize spoken text. The first part that they're gonna mark you is definitely the grammar. Okay, so they're gonna mark your grammar. Now the grammar is just basically whether you make a correct grammatical work or not. So if you don't make any grammatical mistake, they will not deduct your point. So you don't need to technically use any fancy grammar or any complex grammar to get high score in this part. What you need to do is just to make sure you have the correct grammatical structure, so you don't make any silly mistakes. So for example, you need to use a plural noun and a plural verb correctly in a sentence, and you should be fine. So the first lesson, use simple grammar. Okay, you need to use simple grammar. The next one is the content, but I would talk about this one after I finish with the other criteria. So let's jump straight into the spelling. Now the spelling is basically really simple. If you're writing an English word, for example, if you write English, okay, and you just miss out the S by accident, you write English, okay, then that will be categorized as a spelling mistake. When a machine cannot match your English writing with any associated vocab, then you're gonna lose point for spelling. So in short, spelling is when you mispronounce the letter in an English word, and if that misspelled word doesn't belong to any associated English word, then you will lose point for spelling. So if you have one grammatical error, okay, if you have one grammatical error, you're gonna lose 1 point. 2 grammatical error, you lose 2 points. So basically it's really easy to get 0 in grammar and spelling, because you can just make 2 or 1 or 2 mistake or more, then you're gonna get 0 for the grammar. It's the same for the spelling. Okay, so because it's really easy to not lose point in this part, at the same time it's really easy to get 0 either, because when you got more than 2 errors, you automatically get a 0. So with grammar, don't make any mistake in grammar, use simple structure. With the spelling, don't misspell the word. Now form, for summarize spoken text, to get maximum point for the form, you only need to follow the instruction. So they require you to write between 50 to 70, so don't write below the requirements. At the same time, don't write above the requirement. Okay, make sure you stick in between these word count, and you should be able to get maximum point for form. Vocab, basically what I'll show you, all you need to do is just to use firstly the connecting word, like firstly and secondly and thirdly in your writing, and you should be fine. Okay, so for the vocab, just connect it using firstly, secondly, and thirdly, something like that, to connect the sentence, and you should get maximum point for vocab as well. So now we are left with the content. Okay, now this is the most important. You only have 2 points for content. Okay, but that doesn't mean that you can ignore it, because the requirement is that you need to have a certain amount of content to be scored in the PTE exam. Okay, so my suggestion is to write as many content as possible. Okay, because let's say if people go to the exam and they're just gonna write something like completely irrelevant, you can't expect the machine to give you 8 out of 10 point, right? They're gonna give you a 0 because you didn't actually write a relevant content. Okay, so highly recommended when you're doing summarized spoken text. What you need to do is just don't paraphrase it. Don't paraphrase the word that you heard. Okay, you can use synonym, but under very limited condition, because if your synonym is not the same meaning, okay, you're gonna lose point for content. So keep the same word form that you heard from a lecture. It's very important. Okay, so basically we have the transcript here, so I don't want to waste time and listen to the transcript, so I'm just gonna show you how you can actually pick the right keyword in the exam. Okay, so let's say keyword. What I want you to focus on when you're picking the keyword is don't write unnecessary words. Okay, something like in, the, of, something. These one can be added by yourself after you completed it. So what I want you to focus on, all right, very important, focus on number one is the noun. Okay, the noun, especially repetitive noun, that the noun that they keep talking about in the lecture is gonna be the utmost important keyword that you need to be able to note down, followed by, okay, noun and number. Okay, very easy to spot on. If you heard any number, just jot it down. Then verb, you're gonna listen to a verb, okay, and adjective. Okay, now you don't need to take adverb. Adverb usually are not important in the PTE exam. Okay, so I want you to focus on take these down, but not all now. We're gonna be talking about the unique noun. Okay, so for example, let's take a look at the first sentence that you heard. So let's say I'm gonna read it for you guys. Okay, let's say the first sentence they say, well, an historical linguist compares languages at several levels. Immediately, okay, my most important keyword, I'm just gonna pick historical linguist, and I'm just gonna write down languages, compare, and level. So that's pretty much the whole sentence, because that was pretty important. So I'm just gonna write historical. I just have to turn this down. So I write down historical. Just do it really quick. Don't worry about the spelling. Level, write that down. Now next sentence, they said you start out looking for basic vocab. You don't need to write this one down. You don't have to write you start out looking. They are actually describing an action, like continuing action, which is not important in the context. Okay, what you need to try to grab is the overall idea. So what I jot down is just gonna be the basic vocab. I'm just gonna write this down, basic vocab. The next one, languages, as you can see, it's repeated one more time, but I don't need to write it down one again because I already had it. I don't need to write it down. Keep going. Natural, okay, this one hasn't been written before. I'm just gonna put it down. Natural languages have words for eyes and head, nose. I'm just gonna put this one down. It's quite easy to listen to. Okay, and earth and water, I'm just gonna put all these down. Basically, you can't write everything, so just write as many as you can. Okay, now keep going. You don't have to write when you heard a sentence that keep detailing every single action or every single subjects in that sentence. You don't need to note down everything. What you're trying to grab is the overall idea of the passage, not the details. Okay, so the next one, they may not have words for uncle and aunt. It become much vaguer because in one culture an aunt is different. Okay, so we need to put down the word culture because it's a very unique noun. Okay, culture, put it down. When it comes from your father's side, then from your mother's side, you don't include no. Okay, you don't have to take these down. When it comes to your father's side, mother's side, you don't include no. Okay, this is very details, like they're just describing things. Okay, in details, you don't need to take these notes down. Most people know what snow is, but in the tropic you don't have it. Okay, I'm just gonna note a tropic because that's pretty unique now. It's a unique now. So you look for notion that are totally comparable. Just gonna put down notions. Okay, comparable, and that occur everywhere in the world. So comparable and compares, you don't have to write it again because they are the same. Okay, you can use the same word. Okay, just make sure you don't paraphrase it. Okay, everywhere in the world you can. The 100 or 200 most. Okay, I'm just gonna write a number. So 100, 200. Okay, write it down. Universal notion in human life. Yep, I'm just gonna write down human life. Those what you call the basic vocab. See, you can see that this very important now is repeated one more time. So it's a very important one. We have to pay attention. Okay, so we already had it up here, so we don't have to worry about it again. I take basic vocab and languages that you think are related. See, as you can see, they repeated one more time. So these gonna be the, definite keyword. You look for words that sound the same. Okay, so we have this one here is repeated one more time. So this time I'm gonna put it down. Words, okay, sound same. Okay, you can just add the word the later when you write it. Make sure if you don't write that down, you're gonna lose point for grammar. Okay, that's just basically how it is. Basically, you are not fooled by 100% identical. Yep, 100%. Okay, identical. Now you don't have to write down words again because you already wrote it down before. While they are different in one language from another, these sound correspond, but every sound already had this one down. As you can see, they keep repeating the same keyword over and over again. If you pay attention, you should be able to note those down. Has to correspond to be a totally different sound in other language that you compare it with, but in the end, it's the regularity. Definitely, I think this is quite important. Put it down, even if you can't understand it. Put it down. Put it down. Okay. Correspondences. Okay. This time, I want to write this down because they keep talking about correspond all the way along. Okay, so I'm just gonna put this one down. Between sound that are really important, and also whether the words sound the same as another language. So basically, as you can see, all of these keywords keep getting repeated over and over again. Okay, you must be a fool to not note it down. You have to spot that difference. Now you got all the keyword here. How do you put it in the context? So a lot of people would ask me, should I use a template? And my answer is template these days can be flexible. Okay, you don't have to stick to a template, to be honest, especially in summarized spoken text, because what your job is to trying to write it grammatically error, free of grammatical error, and you try to put as many keywords into the context as possible. Okay, so if you put a template in, okay, the template might already cost you 20 words, so you only have like 50 words left to write a keyword, which is sometimes not enough. So I would highly recommend to use a very simple structure, which I'm going to show you now, to do summarized spoken text. Okay, so what I'll do with this one, I'm just going to write the lecture mention historical, okay, linguists, and how they compare the languages. Okay. Languages, I'm just gonna remove the languages. Okay, at many levels, even if you can't, let's say if you can't hear the word several, that's fine. Okay, so the lecture mentioned historical linguists and how they compare language at many levels. So let's say, as you can see, I forgot the S here, but I haven't finished it. Usually I will cross check, but I forgot the S here. So what will happen is that if I don't fix it, I'm gonna lose 1 point for grammar. Okay, so let's move on. Firstly, okay, basically they talk about, so just use a very simple phrase. So firstly, they talk about the basic vocabulary. Okay, you can see there's a natural here and I have nothing to match it up, so what I'll do, I'm just gonna combine them together. Okay, and don't worry, the machine is not gonna mark you if you misunderstand the context. They're just gonna try to see whether you can grab the overall idea. Even if you misunderstand a little bit, that should be completely fine. Okay, they talk about basic and natural vocabulary. Okay, of the, I'm just gonna make things up, but this should basics with the basic. Why do I keep fixing it? It's so annoying. Okay, they talk about the basic and natural vocabulary of the humans, eyes, head, nose, earth, and water. Don't worry about the rest. Okay, don't worry about the rest, because basically the machine's not gonna check whether you write a meaningful sentence. They're just gonna try to see whether you can listen and grab the general idea, because sometimes we are not expert in all these kind of topic. Okay, so they can't expect us to understand everything. Okay, so the next one, culture, tropic, and ocean. If you don't know how to write a complete sentence, you can employ my tactic, which gonna work the same way. So you can say secondly, okay, they also talk about culture, tropics, and notions. That's done. Okay, 100, 200. Okay, and their number around 100 or 200. Okay, that should be fine. Thirdly, human life words sound the same. Words mostly sound the same and are 100% identical to the regularity and correspondences. Basically, as you can see, even if you can't understand the whole thing, don't panic out. You can definitely do this, and you have my word. Try this and you will pass the exam. Okay, so 63 word was pretty good enough. Okay, I'm just gonna click submit. Let's try to see without checking the grammar or spelling what score can I get in this part. Submit. Please give me a good score. 87. So I did some spelling mistake. I didn't check it. So spelling mistake. The content wasn't the best. Okay, but I got 1.8 out of 2. Okay, I got 87, and this should be good enough. And this is exactly how you should be able to, you should do summarize spoken text. Don't use a template. All you need to do, okay, is to use my phrase. The lecture mentioned list out all the potential keywords that you can hear. Firstly, they talk about list out all the potential keywords you can hear. Make sure the grammar is correct and the spelling is spotless. Okay, if you lose point for spelling and lose point for grammar, you won't get the score that you want. Secondly, they also talk about, then I want you to list out all the potential keywords that you can think of. Okay, even if that make the sentence meaningless, put it in. Okay, that will improve your chance of passing the exam. Next one, you do the same thing. Thirdly, most words mostly sound the same and are to the regularity and correspondences. As you can see, this part here doesn't make a lot of sense, but if you just sit there and trying to think up a best way to write a sentence, you're gonna run out of time, and that time is better spent on fixing the grammar and spelling. Remember, PTE is an English exam. Okay, they are not a knowledge test. Okay, so they are 100% different from the IELTS, which basically also require you to have a certain level of knowledge to do the exam. This is 100% English test. Okay, so it's basically fair for everybody. Okay, so this is exactly how you would do summarize spoken text, and try to apply it in the exam. And please tell me whether you successfully did it. Okay, now one last thing before we end this video is that this question, look at this one, this question carries marks for writing around 50%, 15%, and listening 12%. So if you failed in summarize spoken text, you would see a tremendous impact on your listening and writing. They will be equally low. Okay, so make sure that you know this one so that you don't have to waste time on other section. Okay, when your listening and writing are equally low, it could be because of summarized spoken text. Okay, very good. If you loved my video, please do subscribe. If you want to use the platform to practice, please go to masterpt.com.au. If you encounter any error during the usage of my website, definitely send an email to admin@masterpte.com.au, and we will be available to help you out immediately. Okay guys, very thankful for always supporting me all these years, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.